Thank you. It's great to be here in Cannes. Huh? Look, I wish it was a little warmer. Maybe it'll get warmer later on. So I'm Dan Malmed. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for NC Solutions, and we were just recently acquired in the last 11 days by Circana. So we are now Circana, and we're happy to be here with them for sure. Hopefully all of you are familiar, and if you're not, please make sure you get familiar with Circana. At NCS, we focus on advertising effectiveness. We help brands drive better advertising outcomes across every platform, channel, and device. As someone who lives and breathes outcomes, it's especially exciting to be on the Brand Innovators stage here today with Molson Coors team, who are doing some incredibly great things in the social space. So let's get started. Marcelo, if you can introduce yourself, and we can go down the line.
My name is Marcelo Pascoa, and I'm the marketing VP for the Coors family of brands.
Hi, everybody. I'm Justine Stauffer. I'm the Senior Director of Creative Effectiveness at Molson Coors.
Hi, I'm Molly Kilduff. I'm the Managing Director for Volt, which is Molson Coors' in-house studio.
And I am Christine Benchman. I'm a Business Director for Molson Coors in Canada, in-house.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm so glad all four of you are here today. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion because the power is continued to evolve on social, in the social space. And NCS, we revisited one of our large-scale advertising effectiveness meta-studies recently called the 5 Keys of Advertising Effectiveness, which was probably our biggest downloaded piece that we've ever done. So if you haven't seen it, please check it out. We recently gives us a fresh perspective on how to drive incremental sales are evolving in today's advertising landscape. Social media is super fast-paced. I don't have to tell this group that. Highly visual environment creates unique opportunities and challenges for advertisers. So we found that social media is targeting and loyalty account for 33% of incremental sales. And I was doing some prep work last night, some last-minute prep work, and it's basically 50% more effective than the full advertising and the full media environment. So it's really important that we look at that. So let's kind of dive into this a little bit. And I don't know if the screen. Okay, good. So let's bring all this to life with the case study, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So what was the beginning of your journey from getting from good to great in social media at Molson Coors? Are there key advertising factors you found to be especially essential on social?
Yeah, so I guess, it began from a place of humility. I think that brands like to think that they are always doing great things all the time. And we just decided to stop for a moment and say, we think we can do better. So, there was a big conversation around our leadership team about how we could do better in social. And that conversation happened last fall when we were developing our Super Bowl campaign. And what we said was we cannot wait to get things to great. So, let's just take Super Bowl. It's going to be the first big campaign of the year. And whatever we are talking about, everything that we are saying that we can do better to be more meaningful for people in social, let's just try to apply it right now.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I think also, too, just making sure that we're not trying to do too much. Like, what is the one big thing that we're focused on as a brand that we want to communicate? Make sure that comes through.
It's great. I've seen, and I love the Case of the Mondays campaign. It was everywhere, and it was such a smart way to really own the moment. And of course, we know the meaning of the Super Bowl and how big it is for brands. NCS commissioned a consumer sentiment survey, and we learned that 41% of consumers say they look forward to the commercials. So that puts a lot of pressure on the brands, to say the least. Let's go to the next question here. The Super Bowl is one moment. It's a huge moment, right? I think in the industry overall. But how do you think you overall approach to creativity at Molson Coors?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Super Bowl is one of those moments. And across all of our brands, we're thinking about the right to own certain moments that make sense for your brand. And so when we think about creativity as a whole, we've developed a tool, a framework, if you will. We call it Muscle. And what's really great about it is it's just a simple language that we use across the marketing department to talk about what great creative looks like. We partnered with Lions Advisory on this and worked in partnership with our marketing leadership team and our partners and talked about the qualities that we believed made the most sense, but we put it in our own language at Molson Coors. Because before that, we didn't have it. We have a lot of brilliant marketers that come from a variety of different backgrounds, but to really solidify what this means for Molson Coors helped us also drive a culture of creativity. So in the case of things like the Super Bowl, which we're going to get into, obviously, the expression of what that creative idea was all about, it just gave our team the confidence, right? The confidence to really have the conversations, to collaborate, work with our partners, work with each other to really build the best creative possible. And that certainly equates to social media as well.
Yeah, please. Thanks, Justine. To add to that, on social media, we really wanted to make sure that the muscle framework was specifically, driven across social media so that we can drive creative breakthrough. Specifically 2 elements of the muscle framework is what we kind of keep top of mind. So it'd be unexpected and simple. Simple being, is it simple enough for anyone to get? And unexpected, can we change behavior?
Great. Well, thanks for walking us through that. It sounds like a very strong way, sorry, no pun intended, to align with teams around the shared vision, especially with so many partners. I think it's hard to be able to do all of that. That's a lot of people. So with that grounding, can you tell us the story behind Case of the Mondays from both the brand and Volt's perspective? And how did you work together?
Sure. We have a little video, the case for the campaign. I think that it's going to do a better job than I ever could. So
okay, great.
Today, many noticed a misspelling in this Coors Light ad.
Coors Light has been getting a lot of heat for the giant typo they ran in their ad in Times Square.
Mountain Cold Refreshment instead of Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Wow, someone's definitely gonna get fried.
Well, Coors Light responded and said it wasn't very chill of them, and they had a case of the Mondays.
The case of the Mondays.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Sounds like someone's got a case of the Mondays.
I have got a serious case of the Mondays.
Mondays Light, turning a case of the Mondays into a literal case of beer.
Monday morning, the beer company says the campaign is designed to, quote, bring chill to one of the worst Mondays of the year, the one after the Super Bowl.
In booze news, Coors Light is rebranding with a new name.
So Coors Light is the first brand to start generating some buzz around their Super Bowl campaign.
The funniest and greatest of 2025 so far.
Genius marketing strategy. Dare I say, the most creative Super Bowl campaign of all time.
Comedian Timothy Simons has a serious case of the Mondays.
Case of the Mondays today?
No.
Yeah, I think you do.
Coors. Coors captured that feeling that a lot of us have the morning after the Super Bowl.
Its Super Bowl commercial featured human-like sloths trying to get through the day after the big game.
This is a 30-minute best case of the Mondays rise.
Case of the Monday crypto.
A case of the Mondays. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. What a campaign. I mean, you brought all the ideas. They all came to light. I mean, your touch points were awesome. On a personal note, I tried to get a sloth because my daughter's a big sloth person. I couldn't get one. So you're selling out of the merch. Earlier this year, we asked brand marketers in our State of the Industry report, SOTI report, how they're thinking about effectiveness. And 81% of CPG marketers told us that social media is the most effective channel for driving sales. So you guys have completely capitalized on that and nailed it. Let's talk about this. What were the results of the campaign overall?
Yeah, so like just to give a little bit of context. So the campaign, it started with this insight. We actually have data that shows that 60% of people across the U.S. and Canada were actually saying that they were going to add a case of the Mondays the Monday after Super Bowl. And like
60? You said 60?
60%, yeah, because like especially if you're a football fan, you go from having the best night in football for the entire year to having no football at all. Like you're gonna have to wait for 6 months until you start seeing any football action again. And we love the insight, but then the challenge, we love that it was such a universal insight. You could see some references from culture where the expression was used. So it was something that people will talk about that every single Monday. But our challenge was to make sure that in the Mondays that were coming before the Super Bowl, people were talking about that feeling more than ever. And when they were talking about it, they were also talking about Coors Light. So I think that's why social was so important for us. The campaign was created by our friends from Mischief, but from the very beginning, we knew that if we wanted to build this conversation Monday after Monday after Monday, all the way up to the Monday after the Super Bowl, vote had to be, like a fundamental part of it from the very beginning. And that's how it came to life.
Awesome.
You were asking about the results. I'm so sorry. Okay. So you saw some results, but what we can say about the results is that there was a real spike in conversation for Coors Light around that time. So we saw when the spot was launched, when the spot aired, we saw a spike of 400% in social mentions for Coors Light. But most importantly, during that month preceding the Super Bowl, people Googled Coors Light more than they had ever had over the past 12 months. So every Monday we were coming out with something new. So, like first it was, like the misspelling of the word. And, like we really let it sit, like we didn't really explain that it was kind of part of the campaign for a while. LinkedIn was going wild. People were writing these articles. My favorite one was called A Lesson in Humility. Why even big brands can make big mistakes sometimes. And we wanted people to think that because we're a brand that is chill. That's our ethos. And I think that one of the things that happen in social media is that brands they don't wanna allow the conversation to go both ways. So if you wanna make fun of anything in life, you have to start by being able to make fun of yourself. And Seth Meyers thought I was going to get fired, but I didn't. At least not yet.
We're glad.
Yeah, especially in an age where everybody is looking to brands on social media to there's a spotlight and nobody wants to make the mistake. So for our team and Molson Coors leadership to willingly do that and be brave enough to activate in that way was really fun.
I'll add just one more result that we don't often talk about as marketers. The fact that we galvanized our entire marketing team, right? We've got a lot of brands that work on a lot of different things, but Marcelo and his team, along with Volt, really got everybody behind the campaign. And I think you can't, that stuff is priceless. And that also helps when you think about really making an impact in culture.
I'm sure there are brands here that are listening that are literally salivating at some of the results that you guys had. It's fantastic. It's great to be here talking about it. Clearly the campaign resonated, and it worked across the entire full purchase funnel, ultimately. Yeah. That's really amazing. So back to the 5 keys of advertising effectiveness study that we did. We found that while many things have evolved, one thing held strong, and that is that creative still drives nearly half of all incremental sales. Half. So no matter how well you're doing and everything else, if you have bad creative, you're going to have a problem. So you guys seem to nail it on all sides of this thing. So with that in mind, how do you combine the art of creativity with the science of data and insights to shape and optimize your social media campaigns?
I think we look at it from every element. So we have incredible data that we can get from social media, from listening to our consumers talk, from Newsroom is a big thing that we do inside Volt, which is a daily meeting where we are looking at every every part of the internet, our entire team of 51 people is putting in links to different things happening in culture. So we're utilizing that to just make sure that we can be as impactful as possible with what we're doing.
And just to add to that, I think it's just adding things that your audience are already connecting with and making it a bigger deal. You know, we know Mondays is a thing for Super Bowl fans, my apologies, but play off of it. Know your audience, learn the insights, and that'll help you deliver more strong creative.
Awesome. So it's clear the combination of bold and thoughtful strategy really pays off, especially when you're consistently building up your muscle. So that kind of intentionality and commitment are both creativity and data driven decisions as a driver really is impactful without a question. So here's the last question. So as we wrap, I want to ask each of you, what is one key thing that you want our audience to take away from today, by achieving great social campaigns?
I think that for me, if you're going to take one thing away, just don't. If you're a brand, don't think about yourself so seriously. I think that people are just so afraid of doing anything that is vulnerable, and vulnerability at the end of the day is what communicates authenticity. So I think that yes, know your brand, but within who you are, have some fun with it, make some mistakes. You might get fired or you might not.
I was just going to say, I think, Marcelo touched on this too, but beyond just, yes, you know your brand, but you can do it in so many fresh and consistent ways and across a variety of different conversations. And so I would just say another great way for you to do that is go study the work, right? Go look at brands you love. How are they acting and behaving on social media? How does it make you feel? And just studying that work is only going to make you smarter and challenge yourself and your teams to make sure that they're also bringing the best work possible. And for us, using the framework of muscle gives us that jumping off point to push our work forward. In the case of the Mondays, it was brilliant because refreshment. How many people texted you that weren't in marketing that, oh, I think, Marcelo, you must have spelled that wrong, right? That was an example of unexpected, right? Or the fact that it perfectly captured the essence of the brand, right? This product that is known for bringing refreshment. Who doesn't need more refreshment than on the Monday, which is the purest form of case of the Mondays, right? So it made sense for the brand, but to Marcelo's point, they had fun with it. All of the different components from the face roller to just literally every single beat had something to say in that moment. So I do think it's a blend of both of those things, and have fun with it.
Yeah, and I think the message stayed really simple the entire time, too. So when we first were brought in on the idea that Mischief had, it was, this is awesome. We need to execute this well across all channels and in the right way for each channel, but that message and the idea stayed core in everything we did, so.
Thank you. And I heard this maybe a few months ago, and it resonated with me. You guys were at the event with me. To change the behavior, you have to change the experience. So I think that is so huge. I'm going to just put a period on that. How about that?
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you guys for joining me here today. It was a great story. Congratulations on all your success. And I can't wait to see the next one. Thank you. Okay. Enjoy camp.